Okay, it's going. Okay,
Uh,
should we do our individual letters since that's all we had except for our gut reaction and stuff?
sure.
Okay, who was A?
Me. Hold on, let me pull up our post.
Okay.
I was reading something else. But I had A, and it was talking about the different types of informational books in chapter 14 from Tunnel. And there's 9 different ones that Tunnel lists. It's traditional chapter books, informational picture books, activity books, concept books, journals and interviews, photo essays, pop-ups, reference books, and series books. And Tunnel mentioned that series books are the ones that are like most common for libraries to have a big abundance of. So it'll be like for history classes, they have every single state, like mini little books about it. And then reference books are ones that like students most likely don't want to read and just use every now and then, like a thesaurus, a dictionary, anything like that. But it also states that those kind authors are trying to make those kind of books more interesting and readable, but it didn't like mention any specific um, ones that would do that. And then pop-up books are like where things like books about geography maps where they kind of pop up and look like real mountains, stuff like that helps students. And then photo essays, I would almost say the cat with the yellow star, I think is what it called, would be considered a photo essay where a lot of the information is based on the photos just because those were real life photos. And then concept books are like for younger students, and it talks a lot about that in an earlier chapter in Tunnel. And then activity books are like a book, say, if you ever got a book that you could make a flying plane or whatever, and it gave you the directions and you had to read a bit and learn about those type of things. And then informational picture books. That's I chose one this week called Wangari's Trees of Peace, and it's about a lady who won the Nobel Peace Prize, and I think it was 2004. And she was working for she was doing reforestation in Africa and planted over 30,000 trees in 3 years, I think it was, or 30 years maybe. Um, and I thought that was a really good informational picture book because the pictures were super supportive of what was going on in the book. And there's actually like 3 different books that are all related to that. So in my post, you can see that I mentioned one bigger book, but I couldn't find the online reading, so I found a different one that talks about just like how she planted everything. And then you have the traditional chapter book format, which we've all read and disliked at some point in our life, but yeah, those were the different kinds. Um, the main thing is that a lot of them, most of them have pictures to support the text, and the accuracy is a really big part of it. So reading the front and back cover, reading all parts of it, and little snippets that are under pictures. And it also talked about how footnotes are really helpful, but that most informational texts don't carry those. So that's one thing to point out to our students.
Hmm. Why are footnotes so important?
It just gives more information to the reader of like where they can go find stuff, or like if there is a word that they don't know about or a country or something like that in the text, it'll be listed in the footnote where and kind of explain it or give places where the students can go find an explanation of it.
See, this is why I was always confused. I never know what footnotes were for. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see them. I feel like you don't see them very often, but they are helpful.
Yeah. Hmm.
You have B.
Yeah.
I had it too.
Yeah, it was Alexis and I. That was about the article in Rethinking Schools. There's a teacher, his name was his last name's Karp. I can't remember what his first name is, or if it was even mentioned right now. But he had a Bengali student named Jihana, who didn't know if she was going to be going to college after high school because she might have an arranged marriage, possibly. She didn't know. And it kind of went through his feelings on that and like how he had to wrestle with the whole like cultural aspects of, he kind of saw it as like this medieval abomination was his words, and he had to figure out like how she felt about it, how other women in the culture felt about it, and like the middle ground, because he wanted to say something but he didn't want to offend anybody either. So I think it was a little bit of a journey for him and Jihana. That's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, I thought it was also really interesting that he said that he had spoke to a student before that kind of had the same issue. Like she was going to have an arranged marriage, but like he took it a completely different way and didn't really think it through before he talked to her. And so he like told her basically like you should go against your parents' wishes and just go to college and it doesn't matter, like you should do what's best for you and not think about that. And she ended up like just talking to her parents and kind of ignoring his advice, but it was just interesting that he like brought that part into it when he was talking about his experience with Jihana, just because he really thought deeper about it and like was that really the right way to handle it. And it really just kind of like Yahida said, like it just goes through his whole thought process, which is really interesting because it kind of is my thought process almost, not exactly, but like, you know, an arranged marriage is kind of out there for me and my culture, and so it was really interesting to read how he went about that.
One question I had from that reading was like, it never went on to explain the significance of the older sibling getting married as opposed to the younger one. Like, why would only one of them be an arranged marriage? Like, why is the older sister being married, like, making it so that she doesn't have to get married, like, in an arranged marriage? I didn't really understand that part.
Yeah, and that might just be like a cultural difference, like maybe in some families like only one of the daughters has to be in an arranged marriage or something. I'm not sure, like I have no idea, but that's a possibility.
Yeah, this might be kind of out there, but I know that, okay, I don't know for certain, but in a lot of like customs with arranged marriages, there's some sort of either like monetary or like social kind of significance for the arranged marriage. Like there's some benefit to one or both parties, I think. So it could be that just like the older child is maybe seen as a little bit more desirable in that kind of aspect, maybe. I don't know. That I guess maybe we could pose that as a muddy question to Joy. Maybe she might have more information about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it down as a muddy question.
I also thought the way that he like handled it, the whole situation was a little bit better. I mean, than obviously his first way of handling that situation, where he like had her write an article on it and just kind of like having the discussion with her, like he was more informed that way. And I think that's a really good way of going about that and making it so like it doesn't have to be published or like she doesn't have to share her writing, but just to like get it out and kind of share with him like the cultural differences that he doesn't understand. I think that was a really good way of going about it.
Yeah. One of the other things I like is that he had her, or maybe she chose to, interview different girls too, So it wasn't like she was the authority on the issue or anything like that. She got more information from everybody and got a lot of different opinions from the other girls in the school too. So that was good because it wasn't just like tokenizing just Gihanna and that.
Yeah. And it didn't make her like go against her culture either. Like she found a way that kind of like connected it to all cultures with like the misconception about like women or basically just women's rights and things like that. And that was also a good just aspect of that article in general.
Yep. Yeah.
So C, let's see, Riley, was that you?
That's me.
Caitlin?
So for mine, mine was like about who the typical personalities are in biographies and like what are the different formats for biographies. And one of the main ones that I think Tunnel talked about was that like biographies tend to mainly be about famous people, and for like if they're biographies that are meant for children, they tend to like make them out to be heroes, and they don't talk about like any negative aspects of things that they've done in their life or like that they have any flaws. That was like that I found really interesting because I haven't thought about that, but it seems very true. And it talked about how like the different formats include like picture book, simplified biographies, complete autobiographies, and partial biographies. I didn't realize that there were that many different kinds of biography books and that a lot of them aren't complete. Because I feel like when you're reading a book, you assume that that's everything about the person's life, but a lot of the times it's just like the highlights of it.
Mm.
So I wonder what the significance is. Like, why would you want to give students only a partial biography book, I guess?
I mean, I guess it's kind of like harvesting hope about like
Yeah.
Cesar Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't say that. And it like, I mean, it did kind of talk about the negative parts of his life, like going into poverty and stuff like that and having to move and work. But like, it was mainly just positive things, I guess. I don't know. And it was just a little snippet, like it kind of,
Right.
it wasn't his whole life. It had that information, like the author's note in the back that, and I think that's probably why, like, if you do use those partial biographies, like, you should, like, supplement it with also, like, other materials, obviously.
Same. Yeah, I think that too.
I think one of the other things that could be is that it's a picture book, so it's probably for a lot younger students. So,
Right.
like some of the other material could be, I don't know, maybe not appropriate for them or just a little bit hard to grasp, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the things that I wrote in mine was that like this was good just to get like the base information, and
Right.
then older then they can find more if they want to, or you know if it's like needed in some way.
Mm-hmm.
That could be just the age thing.
Yeah, because like when I was reading that, I was wondering, because my immediate thought about partial biographies, like it went to like picture books, obviously, because like you can't make one that's super long, but do they have partial biographies that are longer and cover like more of their life but still aren't complete, that are meant for like older kids? Because I feel like those wouldn't serve the best purpose. It's like I would either do like a partial picture book or like just a full chapter book so they get all the information in one place.
Well, I know that my brother actually, we were at Half Price Books selling books, and he was looking at the sports section, and he got a David Beckham biography.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's still living and everything. He has a biography. So I think that could probably be like the partial thing, is that
Yeah, that's true.
there's that they only have like half their life, you know,
Yes.
have
Yeah.
a complete one. Maybe that could be like the whole
Yeah.
partial-ishness. I don't know.
But yeah, that's pretty much all that mine was about. And I talked about like how maybe the reason why a lot of these biographies tend to like make like emphasize all the positive things in their lives is because they want and like but they do talk about like the negative things too. They just don't talk about as much of their flaws. It's probably because they want them to be um, I guess they want the kids to look up to them for some reason, but also I feel like that's not the best reason too. They should be more relatable. I don't know. That's the only thing when I kept thinking about how much they make them out to be heroes. Like it's good, but then I feel like there are some like negative things to that too.
It makes me wonder if target audience age, like if the heroism and that aspect of not showing the flaws is dependent upon the target audience age. Like as the target audience grows older, say middle school, do they show more of those flaws because students are more aware of other people's feelings and that everybody does have flaws and the world isn't perfect? Like, does that play into that factor at all?
I feel like that would be a really good muddy question because yeah, I wonder that too. It probably does have a factor in it though. I would.
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
So I'll just type it out.
Okay. Should I talk about mine?
Does
Oh no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry. I was thinking like if it does have to do with age, like I don't see that as a good thing because like our younger students too go through negative things and like to see all these people as like heroes is not always a good like if they have a perfect life, like why don't I have a perfect life?
Mhm.
Like I think that is something that is not right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Sorry for all the noise. I'm outside and I live like right by Boeing, so that's what that is.
Okay. So mine, I had D, and it was about the Min Fong reading.
Hmm.
Um, and I this was like there's like 4 questions, but so the first question was like how does her experiences allow her to tell stories of Cambodia and Thailand because she talks a lot about like refugees and like in her stories. I've actually never heard of any of her books, so it was pretty interesting to read about how she came to writing them, but what I got is that she comes from a culture where they like so in Chinese culture apparently they have a strong sense of like respect for literacy and a strong sense of history. So that's why a lot of their people like write down their generation's stories. Um, so she like researched Cambodian survivors from the war and like went to Cambodia and interviewed survivors. So none of the so and then in Thailand, so her story about Thailand too. She like used to live there and then visited there for a little bit before writing her own story because I think in a way that was her way of healing after everything that she saw there. And then the second question is what gives her expertise and authenticity to tell these stories. And I had kind of had a hard time because like I feel like you should be if people are to like for me considering a text like to be authentic is if you like went through it yourself, like if it's a lived experience. But for Min Fong, she didn't go through everything that she wrote about. But in the interview it talks about like the extensive amount of research that she did and how she like actually went over there and like interviewed Taiwanese people and like survivors and Cambodian survivors. So I feel like her books would be authentic. I would just like still keep in the back of my head that it's not her own personal lived experiences. I don't know what you all think about what makes a book authentic, but that was just my little spiel. And then the author of The Cat with the Yellow Star and Wanting More, like Ella like talks is, what did I say in mine? Weisberger. It's Ella Weisberger. So she recounted her own experiences from the concentration camp to write this book, to write The Cat with the Yellow Star. So I feel like, to me, that would be an authentic book because she's, again, writing about her own experiences. And then the writer for Wanting More was born in Pakistan and writes stories about her culture too. So I would say that that book is authentic as well. But I guess I want to ask, like, whether you all think that Min Fong's book, like, whether you would consider that to be an authentic book or not.
I feel like I'm kind of like you, Riley, in that if she's writing about refugees but has never been a refugee herself, what does that mean? Like, I feel like it's a slippery slope to go on, and how do we really know? Like, how many interviews are enough to be considered?
Yeah. See, that's like what I kind of had a hard time with too. Like, I think, so she talks about this thing called third culture because she's Chinese but lived in Taiwan and also knows English. So she like and like she feels like she connects to three cultures, or like, so she has this third culture thing. And for me, I feel like if she wrote a book about that, then a lot of people, then like I would see that to be authentic. But yeah, I don't think she like was a refugee herself, so it just makes me kind of question. But again, I have never read her book, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel the same way that how you phrased it, Riley, was good. Was that you kind of just have to take it with a little bit of grain of salt, like keep it in the back of your mind. She wasn't actually there, but if you did get the interviews, then it's kind of just like, I guess, which is kind of iffy. It's hard to say yes, like a hard, firm yes or no on that one. I don't know. But
yeah, it's hard. Caitlin, if you can mute the video and it won't pick up the sound. Yeah.
My dog's being obnoxious, sorry.
No, you're okay. I just wanted to like give you that tip if it's loud. That's what I do because I have cars like all the way right here. So yeah, that's all mine was. D.
And I like how in Wanting More, the other thing was it like in her note, and then in the acknowledgments, she had her sister-in-law also, who was from Kabul, and a couple other people who were like there to like authenticate a lot of what she put in the story. So I think that kind of helped too, is that she's from the area, and then she had family and friends also that was like giving her the like A-okay on stuff that she put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one made me a little bit more like, okay, I'm okay with this one.
Mhm. Do we want to talk about like the extra resources?
Yeah.
I was really surprised. Oh, you can go, Haida. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say really quick, I really like that poem. The thing from the author, what was her name? I can't remember her name right now. Oh, I don't remember.
It's hard to pronounce.
But it was the poem. Yeah, I probably can't pronounce it either. But I was actually at my sister's soccer tryouts, and I watched it, and I just started laughing because I had my headphones in, and my brother gave me the weirdest look, and I was like, you have to listen to this. But giggle, because I'm like, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, they say the darndest things.
I really liked her reading of it. She read it so calmly, but it was so comedic, and it was just like, it makes me realize how reading something, especially poetry, can lead to the effect that it has on its reader, on the listeners and the audience. So.
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to
what
know,
I like.
Joy, why didn't you actually read Eleanor to us? It was just like a brief overview, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to like read that.
Long?
What?
Was it too long? I was trying to get like a good look at the pages and everything. And it seemed like there was a lot of text. It could have been that she just didn't want to sit there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it seemed like there was a good chunk of text with each of the pages.
Mhm.
So possibility.
Let's see.
Oh, and then the video about Jordan, the one that she watched during school, that Joy watched,
Yeah.
the Muslim misconceptions one. I really liked that because it was like from, I don't know, from the perspective of those people that get like socially basically persecuted, you know. So it was nice to see like the Rethinking Schools article, and the Muslim misconceptions really made me think a lot this week. So.
Yeah. To kind of connect to what you just said, I feel like in my evaluate, I wrote that like what I learned most from this module is to like broaden my not expectations but like spectrum of what diversity is, because like before, like I really appreciated how she had a whole separate like module for Arabs and Jews, because like for me when I just feel like those they aren't talked about at all in our classrooms, or just like they're always just out of the picture. Um, at least for me, I feel that way. And so, and as like bad as I felt like after going through that module, I also understood it to be like society's fault as well, because of course like the only things that we like to talk about when it comes to like Muslims is like how they're terrorists and like all this stuff. And but yeah, I think that's like the number one thing that I learned from this module is to just like make sure that you're not leaving those people out, I guess, in like our literature. And I really appreciated the like Caesar shot. How do you say his name? Chavez. Yeah. But yeah, I like this module.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I got a lot of information. I need to do like more research on things now.
Yeah.
Because you get so many different things, and you're like, is this credible enough, or do I have like enough information to make judgment on this? So like the Palestinian Israeli video, like I had not heard about that kind
No.
of topic before,
Yeah.
and I have an aunt and a cousin that live in Israel, so that's a problem. And I was just like, oh, okay. Good to know. Need to figure out what's actually going on there a little bit more. So
Maybe you could like
yeah,
interview them and see their view on it. Like show them this video and be like, did you even know about this? Because I feel like so many people probably don't even
right.
know, just like we do, even if they live there.
I know. I was like, I wasn't even aware of this.
Yeah.
So.
I think we're about 30 minutes, by the way.
Yeah, pretty close.
I forgot to set the timer, so I have no idea when we had our muddy questions. Sorry, Joy. I'll just write it on there.
Yeah. The first one was like
That's all right.
probably 3 minutes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but we need one more muddy question.
No.
I was actually surprised from the Cesar Chavez story when they like talk about murdering. like the farm workers, like I think it was that one page where it was talking about how if people were, or if the farm workers were like rebelling, then they would get like punched or like even murdered, and I was like, dang.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
a job group, that's a bit much.
And
Yeah.
yeah, everyone who complained was fired, beaten up, or sometimes even murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed that was a very straightforward
Yeah.
sentence.
But then again, if we leave that kind of stuff out of our text, like what are we showing? We're covering up stuff that is really happening, the true life accounts of these people. So,
True.
like, to say
Yeah, I
that
think
someone-
again,
someone
like just the important part of it is to have a discussion about it afterwards,
Yeah.
as always.
Right.
Okay, but I'm gonna pose that as a money question. What age group would the Cesar Chavez book be appropriate for? Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else have any other questions or comments on module this week?
No.
No.
Okay, so Riley, you could probably end it.
Okay.